Hi everybody, my name is Alex Keene and I am your student's English Language Arts teacher this year. Every week I want to give you a quick update on what's been going on in class, what you can expect to happen next week, in an effort to make it a little bit easier for you to help your child stay accountable, and just so that you and I can get to know each other a little bit, or at least so that you can get to know me. I'm going to talk about a couple things today that I wouldn't normally talk about in a video like this, which will make it be a little bit longer than usual. I want to talk about Canvas, Parent Square, and Sora, which are three really important web applications that our students are going to be using and that I would like you to be aware of, because I think they're going to help you keep your student on track and help hold them accountable. And also, again, it might just be interesting for you to get a better idea of what we're doing in language arts. After I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and talk about what we did in class this week and what we'll be doing next week and the homework for this weekend. So let's get into it. Let me switch my screen here just a little bit. There we go. Now you don't have to worry so much about looking at me. So the first thing I want to talk about is Canvas. Canvas is our school's learning management system that we use to give students access to resources and to hand out and receive back assignments from them. What you might not be aware of is that there is an opportunity for parents to also get in on some of that action. If you go to this website, and the link for it should be right below my face, it is canvas.cmslearns.org, and click on the Parent Resources button. There's information here about how to sign up as an observer. And an observer lets you get information about what's going on in class, as well as information about what your student has and hasn't done. I think you can even see the grades that I give students. You can get that feedback through Canvas as an observer. It is a super useful tool, and there is information right here about how to become an observer on your parents' account or on your student's account. If you're stuck with that, you can always call the school and they'd be more than happy to help you out. The person you want to ask for is Miss Bailey. Students, when they go to canvas.cmslearns.org, can click the Login Portal button, and they have an option to either sign in with NC EdCloud, which is the state's single authentication system. There have been some issues with that because of how many people tried to access it all at once earlier this year. They can also use the login with Google button, which might be a little bit simpler, but either of those options will get them to the same place, which looks like this. This is a dashboard. It has all of their students' courses on it. You can see here are my 2 English classes, so just look for the idealized version of me, and you can find the English classes that your student is enrolled in. For the most part, navigationally, they look the same. This is more or less what your student will see when they log in to Canvas and hit my course, minus this giant pink banner at the bottom reminding me that I'm in student view instead of in teacher view. As you scroll down, there's a whole bunch of information here, including information about me, in case you're curious about who I am and what business I have teaching your child. There's information about how to get around the Canvas course, which is super useful. The one thing I will point out is this teacher button is where I've hidden my phone number. If you need to get a hold of me, have your student log in to Canvas and click on this button, and my phone number is there in case you have to get a hold of me. This button right now takes students to an overview of all the work we're doing for the entire year. It's a little bit much to navigate, so I'm going to change that early next week to have less of that overwhelming information and focus directly on what we're doing that day. So this will be the "Hey, I have work to do today" button. If you have students who miss class or need to go back for some reason, clicking on the modules button will bring them to all of the stuff that is available for students to take a look at. This version here has all of the teacher stuff in it. They won't be able to see all this stuff. They'll just have the stuff with the green check marks. That's the basics about Canvas. The next thing I want to talk about is Parent Square. Parent Square is the software that we use to communicate with parents this year. It is super useful, super powerful, and if you're not signed up, I really recommend that you do so. because that's how I'm getting information out to parents. And if you're not signed up, you're missing out. The same with all of your other teachers and even like the school administration. All you have to do is type in the phone number that the school district thinks is your primary phone number. That's the one that's listed as the home number in PowerSchool. If you are not getting the weekly phone calls from Miss Savage on Sunday evenings, then we have the wrong phone number for you. Call the school and ask someone to update your PowerSchool information, and we can get you the right number in there. But all you have to do is type that number in here and hit the go button, and you will be automatically linked to all of your children's teachers. It's kind of amazing. This is what it looks like on the website. They also do have really good apps for iPhones and for Android devices that I recommend you take a look at. You can see that there's information here about pre-college programs for STEM. I sent out some information earlier this week about how to get into my homeroom classes for people at the beginning of the week. But there's also lots and lots of other information from all your other teachers. And anything that I would normally have sent you a text message about or given you a short phone call about in previous years, all of that information is coming through messages here, which is super useful because if I have to, contact parents for 15 kids who missed some class or who are missing assignments or something, I can message all those parents at once instead of spending half an hour on it, and instead of getting one massive text message with everybody's phone numbers there. It's nice and private, nice and, we honor people's privacy that way. It's a really useful tool that I recommend you sign up for if you haven't already. The final thing I'm going to talk about before I talk about, the purpose of the video, the content we're doing, is Sora. Sora is a wonderful resource full of books and audiobooks and graphic novels and all sorts of things that students might want to read. We're going to be doing a 40-book challenge this year in language arts for 7th graders, so they're going to be challenged to try and read 40 novels over the course of the year, and this is where they can get them from if you don't want to buy stuff at the bookstore or whatever. And honestly, I wouldn't go buy 40 books unless they're really great books. They should just have to click the My School is Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools when they go to the address, which again, the address for all three of these things should be right below me, not above me. The other screen is above me. If for some reason it doesn't say, My School is CMS, click on this button here and search for Charlotte. It'll pop up. If they search for Whitewater, which a lot of students have been trying to do, that doesn't work. Anyway, you click the button, sign in using Clever, which is just their NC Cloud account, and they are in. They should see a screen a lot like this when they sign in originally because we have all signed out copies of A Long Walk to Water. But if you're looking for a new book or if they haven't signed up for one yet, the Explore tab is the place to be. And this is where they can grab all sorts of books on all sorts of topics. Seriously, there are multiple thousands of books in here. I guarantee that there is something that is on your students' reading level and one of their interests. I believe we even have non-English books in here as well. It's a really cool source. If you prefer, you can, of course, also buy Mind Frame. Yes, you can also buy a copy of the novel. They're like $7 on Amazon, which is kind of reasonable, I think. But if you don't want to, or that isn't possible right now, we will be using Sora as our primary way of engaging with the text. But like I said, if you or your student would rather use a hard copy, that's fine too. So I'm going to talk for just a couple seconds here about there we go. I'm going to talk for just a couple of seconds here about what we've been doing in language arts over the last couple weeks, or days rather, and talk a little bit about this homework assignment. So this week we spent some time getting to know each other. We spent a whole lot of time making inferences and figuring out what inferencing means and how our brains do it and how we can use those skills to our advantage by doing it a little bit more consciously. We read through the first chapter of A Long Walk to Water after building a whole bunch of background information and making a whole lot of inferences. So your students should be able to tell you why Salva ran away. If your students can't tell you why Salva had to run away, then they do not know what's going on in the book and they should reread. The first chapter is 7 whole pages, so it's a real quick thing. They could probably even read it with you in the course of 15 or 20 minutes. which is a thing I recommend doing if you happen to have the time. Next week, we're going to be looking at chapters 2, 3, and depending on how fast we go, maybe chapter 4. And still be making lots of inferences, but we'll be focusing more on text support for those inferences. And we'll start asking the all-important question for this module, which is how does character and setting influence the plot? So how do where the characters are and who the characters are influence what happens? Which is a really tricky question for middle school students to understand and then to answer, because it requires lots of symbolic logic, which isn't a skill that middle school students have picked up yet. That's the big push for middle school. As I mentioned, there is some homework assignment this evening. There are lots of things that students might still be working on because we didn't finish in class. If they are overwhelmed, if they are stuck, if they don't know what to do first, this assignment right here, they can search for this. Pause the screen right now and go into Canvas and just search for that. They'll find it. This nonsense here means grade 7, module 1, unit 1, lesson 2. That's what that appellation there means. But if they search for this string and homework, they will find it very quickly. It's asking them to read chapter 2, which is another very short assignment. They'll click on this button right here to download a copy of the assignment. They'll answer the questions in this Google Drive thing. It saves their answers automatically. It's real nice and quick. There we go. Selected response questions. So they fill this out as they read, and that helps them notice the correct stuff. So when we come back on Monday, we can have a productive conversation. When you're in student view, instead of a published button, there is a blue submit assignment button. They click on that, come down here, and there will be a button that says Google Drive, and they just attach the assignment there. It is it's a couple steps to get done, but that we've practiced in class. And if they get stuck, they don't know what to do or something along those lines, they can send me a message by clicking on the inbox button here. So thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's a long one. The ones in the future will be much, much shorter. And as long as you've had to watch it, I've recorded it like 5 times. So I feel your pain. As I tell the kids every time when we head out, be well and do good.